This is my reminder to you that you are allowed to create the life that you want. And it doesn't have to be by anybody else's standards. It doesn't have to be acceptable to anybody else. You don't need anyone's validation to live the life of your dreams. And so whether that dream life looks like having a 9-to-5 job and climbing your way up the chain, or just being content with where you are right now, being an entrepreneur and really pushing yourself to build your business. Or maybe you just want to work part-time, or maybe you don't want to work at all and you would rather focus on your family and be a stay-at-home mom. You are allowed to create the life that you want, because you deserve to be happy. You deserve to get everything that you want out of life. And who's to say that you can't have something just because someone else said that? Like that, those are limiting beliefs, point blank, period. And when you don't know yourself, when you seek other people's validation over understanding what you need and who you are and your worth and loving yourself, it can be so easy to fall susceptible to other people's opinions, other people's limiting beliefs. And I would really encourage us as a collective and as women to take a step back and to really ask ourselves what we want. And when we have those answers, be brave enough and have the courage to press forward in the direction of what we intuitively feel like is right for us. Because when you allow other people to dictate how you live your life, you're really doing yourself a disservice. But when you have the courage to say, no, that lifestyle doesn't work for me, that doesn't work for me, this is what works for me, you see more and more of the alignment of those choices that you've decided to make that you know are going to be best for you. There have been so many times in my life where I set myself back by allowing myself to take on other people's limiting beliefs, by allowing myself to take on what other people wanted for my life over what I truly wanted. And honestly, when you understand that limiting beliefs and opinions are kind of the same thing, you release the need to live according to what other people say you should live by. And so for me, and as I work towards building my businesses, right? I know that for me, rest is really important. I know that if I don't rest, it affects everything else in my life. And I feel like as women, we feel guilty for resting. We feel guilty for doing what we know is necessary for our well-being. And why is that? Why do we feel like we need to live by the code that men live by or that other women allow themselves to live by? And that's not to say that other women are doing themselves a disservice. I'm not saying that whatsoever. But all I'm saying is that as women, we have a different hormonal clock than men. Men can get up and do things 24/7 and not feel as depleted as we feel. And that isn't to say that men don't need rest. Like if you're a man listening to this, you still need your rest, honey. Please go get your rest. But as women, we go through hormonal cycles our entire life. In understanding your body, you know that, okay, I can't be at a full 100% speed every single day. That's just not feasible. And so the more you understand this about yourself, the easier it is to say, I'm going to take a break and I'm not going to feel guilty about it. And it was really hard for me, and it still is sometimes hard for me, but because I've worked on myself and I've done the inner work, it's easier for me to snap back into the reality that I truly want. So even when I have a moment where I'm like, oh, I could be doing this, I could be doing that, I'm like, no, you need to be resting. You need to be resting. And I remind myself, I'm allowed to create the life that I want, and I'm allowed to do what works for me. And I know that at this moment, rest is necessary. And to take those intuitive nudges from God, my spirit team, to say, hey, you need to rest. Because I know what happens when I don't. When I don't rest, it affects everything else in my life. When I take a step back and I say, hey, I'm allowed to prioritize rest, I'm allowed to prioritize my well-being, then I see the positive changes because I'm able to think more clearly. I'm able to have a vision for my life. I'm able to put better foods into my body because I'm not eating out constantly because I don't have the time to make a meal, or I don't have the energy after I've worked a long day to make a healthy meal for myself. I'm able to work on myself, go to the gym, go shopping, do my beauty services, do everything that I need to do. But when I don't take the time for myself, then my body just crashes. I would compare it to if you don't get your full sleep cycles, right? If you are sleep deprived, then your body just learns to go straight into REM sleep when you sleep, when you go to bed, because your mind doesn't have the energy to like go through all of the proper sleep cycles. And that's very similar to us not allowing ourselves to rest and have time for ourselves. When you don't allow yourself to rest and have time for yourself, then your body and your mind are just going straight into what is necessary right now. It's not thinking about how you can do things better for yourself or in a healthier and better way. At least for me, I wasn't like that. And so even though I'm so grateful for all the business that I'm getting and everything that I'm doing, I'm reminding myself that I'm allowed to have an easier time with things. I'm allowed to embrace ease. I'm allowed to receive with ease. I make money when I rest. I make money when I go to the gym. I make money when I'm shopping. I make money when I'm going to the grocery store. I make money when I'm getting my nails done. You just have to remind yourself that you are still building your life even when you're taking a moment for yourself. And again, all of this comes down to the beliefs that you hold about what is possible for you. And if you're allowing other people's limiting beliefs to impair what you truly want for yourself, then I would really encourage you to take a step back and really think about what you need, not what other people need, not what is acceptable by society standards. And I know that in this world, we really value hustle culture, and we value people who are working constantly around the clock. And there are some jobs where people have to do that. Like, I could never, and I commend all my doctors and nurses out there who are really hustling. And that's what I would call hustle. When you're working 12-hour shifts, 14-hour shifts, and you're doing all of this for the sake of serving others, I think that's really commendable. But at the same time, then you have, well, normally doctors and nurses have like a certain amount of time off still. But when you're working for yourself, you are making that time for yourself. When you're working a 9 to 5 and you're trying to get to a certain place, you are trying to show your value. And there's value in having boundaries. There's value in allowing yourself to be. But if you're living in a fearful mindset, you're living in a lack mindset, and you're like, okay, I can only have XYZ if I work really, really hard at it, then that's what the world is going to show you. It's going to show you that you have to work so hard in order to get these things. And I know this firsthand because that was me in my first 3 years of real estate. I thought that I needed to work so hard, and I needed to chase every deal, and I needed to do XYZ in order to make money. But those were my brokest years. And yeah, I understand that there's something to it sometimes as far as building a work ethic. And I think work ethic is one thing. Building discipline with your work ethic is one thing. But overworking yourself is another thing. And telling yourself that you have to do all these things in order to be successful, when you are allowed to create the life that you want, is like backwards thinking. And once you understand that the only thing limiting you is yourself, you learn to speak to yourself differently. You learn to handle things differently. And so this has been a big wake-up call for myself that, okay, India, we thought that we needed to do XYZ in order to reach our goals. And I have reached a milestone this year that I'm so proud of when it comes to my career that took me all year last year to do. And so the fact that I've reached it and it's not even June yet is amazing. But now I'm like, okay, let's reframe even how I've handled these first few months of the year. And you're allowed to do that. And that doesn't mean that you are hindering yourself or that you are allowing yourself to like take setbacks, because you are here, right? And there's no going back. Once you are awakened, and that sounds so bogus, but once you have done the inner work and you've learned to shift your brain and you've learned to shift those limiting beliefs, there's no going back. There's only moving forward. So don't allow yourself to even have those fears of like, oh, I'm setting myself back. No, you are setting yourself up for a better future. You're setting yourself up for the ideal lifestyle that you want to live. Not your friend Mary, not your friend Sam, but that you want to live. And that's what's most important. And at the end of the day, the universe, your spirit team, God, whatever you want to call it, I call it my spirit team. And if you're not new here, then you know I call it my spirit team. Sometimes I say the universe, sometimes I say God, but mostly my spirit team, because I believe that the universe, my guardian angels, God, they're all conspiring in my favor, and they want the best for you, and you're allowed to do what you want, obviously within safe means. Like, don't be looking at this and say, oh, India told me I'm allowed to do what I want. Like, no, don't do it in a way that's going to impact and hurt others in a negative way. But you are allowed to do what you want as far as living selfishly and having boundaries for your life, what you will do, what you won't do, the amount of rest that you get, and what you need. Because everyone is different. Everyone needs different amounts of rest. And so don't compare yourself to someone else and their work ethic, especially a man child. Don't compare yourself to a man as a woman. That is number one. And that's the number one thing I had to learn, is don't compare myself to men out here. Because again, our hormones are different. Y'all can work 24/7 around the clock. I can't. I need rest. And you as a woman need rest. Point blank, period. When it seeps in that, oh, I am the co-creator of my life, right? With Spirit Team, I am the co-creator. I'm allowed to say what I need, what is best for me, and receive that. I am allowed to know my worth and say, I am worthy of taking a break. I'm worthy of a vacation. I'm worthy of having a full weekend to myself, and that's for me because I'm in real estate. I'm allowed to do the things that are going to positively impact my life. And when you allow yourself to do those things and you see your life flourish still, then you realize like, oh wow, I didn't need to be doing all of that. And that's, again, something I really had to learn, because I was my brokest in those first 3 years of real estate, because I had it in my brain, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do this, I have to do everything. And when I took a step back and say, no, I'm allowed for things to be easy, I'm allowed for things to flow better, things started flowing better. And so again, now I'm reframing what the rest of the year is going to look like for me and how I'm going to handle business moving forward. But it takes step by step to do, and it's okay to not know the next step. Just decide that you're going to move forward. Decide that you're going to make a different decision for yourself. Decide that you want to create a different life for yourself and go after that. And I know it's easier said than done, and that's why it's so important to do the inner work, because when you do, then, and you know your self-worth, then you can better co-create with the universe, because you already know that you get everything that you ask for. You already know that it's either this or something better, right? And you know that God wants the best for you. Like, your Spirit Team wants everything that you want. If anything, they want it more for you. And they've just been waiting for you to know that you deserve it. They've been waiting for you to know that you can have it. Point blank, period. And when you know that you deserve it, when you know your worth and you know that you can have it, you start to see magical shifts and you start to see magical things happen. And this comes from firsthand experience, because I have been doing really well, but I have exhausted myself because I will try to do so many things in one day. And so I've told myself, we need to take a step back, because when I don't, I get sick. And that's just what happens, because my body is like, you haven't rested. And so for 2 weeks, I was dealing with some health issues. When I really snapped out of feeling frustrated about not being able to work at the 100% capacity that I really wanted to, I realized all of this happened for a reason. And this was supposed to teach me something. And what it was supposed to teach me was that I make money when I rest, and I'm allowed to rest. And when I don't rest, I'm doing myself a disservice. And even though I rested, I still got a home under contract. I probably got 2 houses under contract, and more buyers, more sellers. Like, it wasn't like business stopped just because I took a break. When you realize that you don't need to have FOMO, or when you release the FOMO of working and overworking yourself and doing things that aren't in alignment with what you need at the moment, you realize that you still win. That at the end of the day, it didn't stop anything. If anything, now you just feel more refreshed. You feel better. You feel like you can handle the next steps that you need to take. And so this is my friendly reminder to you that you are allowed to create the life that you want. It doesn't have to be by anyone else's standards but your own. Really assess what those limited beliefs are that you keep telling yourself, and decide that you're going to think differently. Decide that you want differently for yourself. Really hone in on what that looks like and what it feels like, most importantly, and go after that. Hopefully this episode made sense, because I'm honestly so tired. Like, it's been a long day, but I really wanted to put this content out because it is something that I've dealt with personally. And if you've watched my videos, listen to my podcast, and you know that I like to talk about my aha moments, how I have really done things differently in my life to make my life better by to make my life better by my own terms. And I hope that you do the same. But as always, I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I hope it's restful or it is exactly what you want, okay? Anyway, I hope you guys have a great one. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.